Hello, this is the Virtual X team. We're here to talk about our application Spendsense, the convenient financing tool. So our application is designed for the busy person. It's designed for the person who wants to track their spending, doesn't have the time to go through Excel and input their data manually, but still want to care about how much they actually spend on different categories of stuff. So our idea is that we have an application that automatically parses receipts using computer vision. It'll store the receipt data to track their spending based on categories, and there's also tools to enable spending analysis via graphs and reports. So our features, in order of, I guess, how large they are, we have upload an image, which is, as explained, you upload an image of your receipt, then the receipt gets scanned. We also have manual editing, in that they are able to edit any of these features that are picked up with the computer vision, and they can edit them if they don't comply with what they want. You can also manually enter your own receipt. Say you go to Tim Hortons, get a coffee. You can input coffee $2.02 without a receipt manually. And we also have all the reporting, of course. We have the graphs, we have all the tools needed for seeing how much you spend on different types of stuff. All the different categories you can input manually or automatically. We have your purchase history to see specifically which receipt is which. And you can edit your profile and all of that as well. Plus a first-time guide for anyone who wants to know more information about our application. So this is our general architecture. As you can see, there's a front end, there's a back end, and there's also like a third-party Cloud Vision API. This is because we figure, why reinvent the wheel? There's already text scanning out there. So our front end, we have it working on Android, iOS. This is because they're very accessible. Android was first, of course, iOS is still in the making, but for the most part, this is how it looks. We're using Angular and Ionic because it's simple, straightforward, and works for both web and mobile frameworks. Our backend is with Amazon AWS. It's fast, it's flexible, and it also fits under our budget restraints. We felt like this was the ideal method to go with, combined with MongoDB, Express, and Node.js for maximized efficiency and lowest overhead. We also have the Cloud API. How this works is that the backend works as a middleman between the front end and the Cloud API. The front end sends a picture to the backend sends the picture to the Cloud API. The API returns with readable data. The readable data is sent to the front end, and then the front end uses an algorithm to parse through it for the data we need and to show it to the user and store it accordingly. This is the general architecture of our application. Next, we'll have a demo of how the application works specifically.
Hi everyone, welcome to the demo of the Spendsense application. Here is a view of our application from an Android Pixel 2. We developed the application through the Ionic framework, which is a wrapper around Angular, which allows you to deploy your app as a web application or also have it compiled into native iOS and Android applications. So here's our homepage where we can display news that's relevant to the product. We can log in here. So we've implemented login, registration, and changing your password. To register, you provide username and password and then some info about yourself. An email, a confirmation link is sent to the email you provide, and until you click that link, you can't log in because you have to confirm your email. If you ever forget your password, you can enter a new password here. Once you hit change password, a confirmation link is sent to your associated email. Until you click that confirmation link, your password doesn't change. And when you log in, it's using simple auth. So you provide your username and password over a secure network. And then the salt is appended to your password and hash. And then that is compared with the hash we store because we store hash passwords instead of plain text for the user security. So once we log in, again, brings you to the home page. If you're a new user, you can see in our menu we have a tutorial page. So here for all the functionality, we document it. So any new users, hopefully we can answer all their questions just with our documentation. So for each page, there's a tutorial. So the first thing we'll do is we'll upload an image of a receipt. So the most common way to track your expenses is through receipts. So we'll choose a file from the phone here. We won't take a photo from a camera because the emulator can't do that. So we'll use an existing photo. So here we'll upload the image of the receipt. We'll hit done. it'll start scanning the image. So the first thing it does is it sends the same image to the backend. The backend then uses its token to send it to the Google Computer Vision API. The Computer Vision API parses it, sends the info back to our backend. Then our backend talks to our front end. So I'll show you the image of the receipt. So it's a receipt from Loblaws, Cashmere toilet paper, Nelson milk, baby spinach. If we go to our emulator, we can see it picked up Loblaws. That's easier to pick up on the receipt because we just look for the largest text blob. Their location's a little harder, so you can manually enter it if it's not there. So it picked up Cashmere DR12S from the receipt, which is the text that was on the receipt. But the reason it associated Cashmere toilet paper is because of all the receipt items in the system. It did a string comparison on all of them, and it most closely related to this one. So if you're the first person entering Cashmere toilet paper, this common name obviously won't exist because you're the first person. So you'll be responsible for adding this common name. But once it's added once, it won't have to be entered again. And then every user can associate a tag with the common name item. So typically Cashmere toilet paper is associated with household supplies. If you want to change this, you can. We just automatically fill in the most common tag because that will typically be sufficient for you. And it picks up the price. You could also put in an amount. So if this is something like, ground beef or chicken, it'll be charged by, like the amount of kilograms or grams or pounds. So you can enter those units and then specify the amount. So it picked up all the items, looks good. But then we see that it picks up one of the items that we don't want it to. So this is just like a tax line. So we can just remove that. And we know it didn't pick up ground turkey. So we can specify ground turkey. It's going to associate with ground turkey because someone's purchased that before. It's going to put in tag. And then we just specify the price. Okay. Hit save. Great. So it posted the receipt. So now that's in the system. If you don't have the image of a receipt on hand, so if you just bought coffee from Tim Hortons, but you don't have the receipt, you can just enter the info here. So let's say I bought Tylenol from Loblaws. Oh, and if your franchise isn't in this list, you can add it. That button brings you to a page where you can add it. Enter the location. Same thing. If you're the first person to this location, you can add it there, and then everyone else will be able to use it. Okay, so we'll add Tylenol. Great. Specify the price. Let's say we bought it for $15. It picked up the common name Tylenol and then it associated pharmaceuticals with it. If you want to change this to be medicine for whatever reason you want to specify your own tag, you can put it there, and then we'll save that. If you want to now view your receipts, go to the view receipts page. It pulls all the receipts for your user. You only have access to your information. So if you try to query the system for other users' info, passing your own credentials, it won't work. So here we can view and edit the last receipt we entered. So this is the Loblaws Tylenol. We can change this. We can edit it to pharmaceuticals. Let's say we change your mind. We do want to call it pharmaceuticals. Put it there. Saved. We can also delete receipts. So delete this one. Okay, gone. So now we can actually view a reporting of our spending. So here, over the last month, we can see that we spent $286 on food, household supplies $89, pharmaceuticals $63. You can break it down just by certain categories if you want, so you can omit certain fields. You can change the date range. So here, it's now going to be over an entire year. You could also view your reporting over time with a line chart. So, for example, this person spends clearly the most on food, about $2,500 in the last year. It's pretty linear, so there's not much the user can do about this other than maybe spend less. But, for example, a more helpful observation is that this user spends much more on transportation in the winter. So here, in the summer, they only spent $250. In the winter months, they spent about $500. So maybe this user realizes, oh wow, I walk a lot more in the summer. That's why my transportation is so low in the summer. Maybe I can try to take the bus more or cut down my spending on transportation in the wintertime. Again, you can omit fields here. You could also search. So let's say the use case of I need to go buy Tylenol, like I just entered a receipt for. You can search Tylenol and you can actually see where Tylenol is sold. So it's sold as a pharmaceutical at Dollarama for $15, and it's sold for $28 at Shoppers Drug Mart. So they're sold at 2500 Richmond Street and 1680 for a price difference of $13. So if I'm conscious about my spending, I can go to Dollarama to buy the Tylenol. Finally, we have the profile page here. You can edit your first name and last name, and then you can also edit your email. So if you change your email, what it will do is it'll send a confirmation link to your new email, and until you click that link, it won't associate that new email to you yet, to ensure that you're not using an email that you don't own. So that's all the functionality of our front-end application. We're confident that any user will be able to use our application with ease, and that we automate the processes that are tedious for managing your personal finances. That's it for the demonstration. That's it for the presentation.